This is Andy Newberry with the Times Record News Fans Guide to 2016. That's what I call my article. This will be my 26th season covering area football for the Times Record News. And sometimes I have to be a certain place. But I kind of went through this article as if I didn't have to cover a certain team. I was not just a fan of one team, but I wanted to see a lot of good football. And there's a lot to choose from. With the opening kickoff, I went Thursday night. Hershey's at home, and it's kind of the varsity debut for a lot of exciting athletes. They had an undefeated JV team. It's no big rivalry with the Life School they're playing, but it's a chance to see a bright young team. I think it's gonna do some things. And the next night, if you wanted to stay home, you could go out to Memorial again and watch Ryder and Mansfield Legacy. But I think one of the best rivalries in the area is Burke and Iowa Park. Burt Burnett did lose their quarterback in practice, but I think they're going to be, it's still a team that's going to improve throughout the year. And them in Iowa Park, it doesn't seem to, I know coaches always throw the records out the window. And the records are 0-0, but I don't think it would matter. I think Iowa Park and Burke is always a good game. It was 48-41 a year ago, and maybe it won't be that many points, but I think both teams will move the ball. Then get to the next week. You see there's lots of good choices again. Ryder is at home, so that's I think it's a good chance to get out and catch Ryder. Boyd at Holiday's not far away. That used to really be a good matchup when when I started here in the 90s. Boyd was about as good as it got for small school football, and so was Holiday. One of my best area matchups, I think, is Week 3. Bowie and Henrietta playing on September the 9th, I believe it is. Henrietta lost a couple Division I, caliber athletes, but is a favorite in their district. And Zach Duncan and I have talked a little bit. We think Bowie is going to be improved and challenge for the playoffs in their district as well. So that's kind of a good barometer. Third week, they've worked out some of the kinks to see where both those teams are. Another rivalry in Week 4. Windthorst has a good home schedule this year, and on that week they're playing Monday. And that's always kind of been a speed versus power matchup. And they've had lots of good games, and they've met in the playoffs, which I think always adds to the rivalry. Week after that, District 5-5A kicks off, and Wichita High is at home against Denison. But if you've got some gas money, I think that's where I put down. I would go to Stephenville, and I might hit up the Heart 8 for some barbecue. And Graham plays Stephenville, and Stephenville's been a power, ever since Art Bryles got that program going again. And Graham's trying to bounce back a little bit from last year. And I think that'll be a good matchup. Week after that, you can't beat it all year long. Old Heart Rider always puts 10,000 or more in the stands. The last 2 years, the game's come down to the fourth quarter. Came down to just a field goal at the end, where the snap and hold almost got away, but you just saw clutch performances from guys basically 1 through 30 on the roster, or maybe even deeper, giving it their all. And a game that they're going to always remember more than what the final score or the records were. And so I think for this area, that's game of the year, and it didn't change when they moved it off of used to be the finale for many years. It was a tradition. That was the last game, but they moved it up in the schedule, and it's still been great. Moving into October, October the 7th, Crum is at Iowa Park, and it's a new district for Iowa Park and Vernon this year. They were in the Panhandle district, where they were having to make those long 4-hour-plus road trips for a district game. So they're glad to be back here closer. But Crum is a reason to not be glad, because Crum hasn't been playing football that long. They've gotten good very quickly, and they're the district favorite there. October 13th and 14th, you can get a double dose. Hershey has another Thursday night game against Decatur, a program they've kind of struggled with. But the Young Huskies, if they wanted to move up into the top part of that district, that's a game they would need to win. If they could probably lose it and still have a chance at fourth place, but if they want to challenge and show they're kind of a year ahead of schedule, that would be an opportunity to do so. The very next night, my one Oklahoma game I put on my schedule is a chance to go up and catch Granfield. Granfield was near and dear to my heart, because when I was the young low man on the totem pole in the early 90s, I didn't get the biggest of the big school games around here, and Granfield was the best 8-man team around. Went and covered them. They won some state championships. I covered one. It was about the only game in the state of Oklahoma that day because there was an ice storm and toes were freezing and stat sheets were getting wet. But Granfield has come back to kind of that prominence the last couple of years, and they're wanting to challenge for another title. So that's a good chance. October the 21st is Crum at Graham picked out, and that could be for that district title if Iowa Park hasn't pulled that upset in the game we talked about a couple weeks earlier. There's also 5-5A favorite Ryan, and state-ranked Ryan comes and plays at Wichita High, so that's another real good option if you want to stay close. That moves me to October 28th, another chance to see a great team, Argyle, ranked number 1 in the state. They might not be by then, but that they could very well be. They've been a consistent contender for the state titles. They could be playing in Arlington in December, but they come here to Memorial Stadium and play Hershey. And it's a chance for Hershey to kind of see a program that they'd like to model themselves after someday. And then you close out the season, Denton Ryan comes back to town for a second time and plays Ryder in a game Ryder hopes will be for that District 5-5A championship. The last District 5-5A gave us a lot of games and races that came down to the wire. I think this one could mean something too.